All right, Cardinal fans, welcome back to the Red Rain podcast. This is episode 196. So please put your hands together for your host, the one, the only, Walter Mitchell.
Thank you to the one and only Kyle Little Rock Ledbetter from Sacramento, California. Up this early, taping for us with our good pal, 61 Sam, who's up early himself in Scottsdale, Arizona, I believe somewhere around that area. So
Yes.
happy to have you back to discuss what was a real blowout loss yesterday, once again, in the NFC West for the Cardinals. On this show, the highlight's going to be talking about next year. But before we do that, let's get right to the tape and go through the top plays in relatively short order. So first up, we have the McBride screen pass on this
Right out
first down. 5 plays, 65 yards, and a score. McBride is just relentless on this play. I mean, what a tone setter for the game. Look at the blocks, set up perfectly. They sold the screen well. And then it was like raging bull. Got to be happy with the blocks and super happy with McBride's effort on this play. He refuses to go down. Blows right over the middle linebacker, ba-boom. And then, takes a team effort to take him down.
Watch Brissett take a shot here. Boom, right at the end.
Yeah, the Rams did a really good job of getting some pastings on Brissett. And I was, like the old saying goes, everybody's got a plan until you get punched in the face. And, he got punched in the face, Brissett did yesterday, and got up and played like a man. But they got to him. And as for the Cardinals on the other side, I didn't see anyone come within, shouting distance of Stafford the entire day. We'll talk about that. But, the disparity was just enormous. All right, so now we're cooking here. 2nd and 10. Like this formation in the backfield with 2 guys in the backfield who are going to, upon the snaps, go flare out to their each sides to draw attention. And then they catch the Rams in a zone or a hybrid man zone, and ba-boom. Money. Michael Wilson money. And man, that was the best opening drive of the year for the Cardinals by far. 5 plays, 65 yards, bing, 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 bing. And hitting your best receivers and in stride right off their breaks. The problem was they had success on that screen to McBride. Petzing kept dialing up screens after that, but good teams adjust. And the Rams had every other screen queued up and blew it up. Screen on 2nd and 15, for example, gets blown up. It's very frustrating. At times, with Petzing's, propensity to keep going back to plays that, that worked earlier too soon than when he should. And that kind of sets the team back a little bit. But the next play was going to be Kyren Williams.
Actually, this is a Blake Corrum touchdown to
it is.
kick the game
off.
off.
Oh, yeah.
So 1st and goal down at the goal line. The Rams pretty much ran the ball down the field for the most part on this drive.
Right down the Cardinals' throats. It was really awful to watch.
And there's Blake Corrum punching it in. I
All
remember,
right,
Walter, you were
stop
big
right
on
here.
him in the draft.
Stop. Okay. Stop. All right. So you can't blame Cody Simon because Kyren takes kind of like a counter cut. All right. But I noticed all game, the Cardinals and Owen Popo was playing this week, which was really interesting. And he did a lot of good things. That was good to see. They put him in instead of Akeem Davis Gaither. I don't know if Akeem's ailing or whatever, but yeah, he's right there trying to split the gap. Unfortunately, he just misses. So that was good. But there's a convoy of potential tacklers. Jalen doesn't get off his block. And it's just an easy touchdown. It's too easy.
Yeah,
But I
Will
also
Johnson kind of gets caught there too.
That the Cardinals' front line in this game just stands up. And, they were easy pickings. When you stand up, you want to drive your man into the backfield to create disruption. I don't know if they're coached that way, whether they are coached that way or not. They should be coached that way. We haven't seen diddly squat from our defensive interior in games. I mean, where is Dalvin Tomlinson?
Really missing in action all season.
I mean, and and Darius Robinson's making a splash here or there, but he's very inconsistent. In a lot of the plays he's having to make or chasing downfield because he's gotten sort of blocked backwards. And Calais, Calais isn't playing as well as he was earlier in the year. I think that the physical aspects of and the gruel and the grind of this season and they probably played him more snaps than they should have caught up to him a little bit, but and we need him. But it's just not happening up front, and it's part of the reason why it's not a good idea to bring in a college coach to coach your defensive line. And as good as this guy's going to be someday, you come in as an assistant line coach to begin with. You don't give him the onus of this responsibility because, as we will talk about later, what the Cardinals front office and coaching staff completely lack is any sense of gravitas. I mean, it's no wonder the players don't, respond because they're not being held accountable the way a coach with gravitas holds players accountable. They're not being held to standards. They're not being driven. And I know people will say, well, they're pros. They're supposed to just show up and play great. No. I mean, that's why you have jockeys on racehorses and jockeys that matter. You've got to be a racehorse jockey with your team. You've got to ride them. You got to motivate them. You got to make them think they have an advantage, strategic and physical. That doesn't happen here with the current setup. So that's disappointing there, and it set a tone for what was going to happen the whole game. Is that they just ran right through us. Watch this play. I mean, so pause right here. All right. Look at the second man in from the bottom. That is Bilal Nichols, number 92. And watch what happens to him after he stands straight up. Go. Are you kidding me? Did you see that? Blown out of there. Like he's on roller skates. No resistance. You're supposed to cave those double teams down and plant and command the double team. But this is what you get to technique-wise when what you're doing is just standing up off the snap. We've got no defensive interior guys penetrating. None. Easy peasy TD again, running right out on our throats. Next up.
All right,
Michael
now we got Puka Nacua
Puka.
getting into it. This is right before the half. 16 seconds, 28 yards out. Touchdown.
Puka's awesome. Cardinals actually played him pretty closely at times, and he still made great catches. Amazing to think he was a 5th-round draft pick. But Puka represents what the Rams do best. Is they don't treat any of their players like a draft status guy. Everybody gets an equal shot. And if you're in there plugging away, they're going to play you. And they draft you to develop you. They don't sit you or play yo-yo with you, and their quarterback will grab you and go, hey, like Jacoby is doing with Michael Wilson right now, is, hey, here's how we're going to work together, and here's some tape to watch, and here's how we're going to use you. And there's this communication and a chemistry that's built. And since day one, when Puka arrived in LA, he was treated like a 1st-round draft pick and played like a 1st-round draft pick. And he won, I think, Rookie of the Year his first year. I mean, I think he was right up there at the top of the leaders. Actually, I think he might have been even first. Incredible. And it's just carried over. And in this game, he was special. And then you see Will Johnson. Will Johnson had a tough day. Here's the thing about the Cardinals corners. All right. They've drafted a ton of zone corners. They focused on that. The guys who probably would be best at man coverage don't play, like Elijah Jones doesn't play, and he's really good at man coverage. So you have zone corners trying to play man against the best players when they're in their zones, or if it's a regular man call. And the other thing about zone corners is they're supposed to be ballers in run support, but our guys, they didn't get the memo. I mean, they are not physical corners who come up and make sticks. Max Melton tries. He throws the body around a little bit. But man, they're not tacklers. And that hurts too for a team that is woefully awful at tackling now and doesn't have the want to or the technique. And we're sitting at number 32 in the league in PFF tackling grade for a reason. And it's had to get worse, the grade, after this performance was just, they ran right through us all game. So what's up next?
We got one more Puka Nacua play right here. So this is near the end of the third.
Yeah, this is where he toasts Will. Yeah.
Trying to see just in the formation here. So they have, let's see, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. So I guess this is the deep safety on this place. I guess they're only running one high safety.
Yeah, we're not going to be able to get to this pass from a safety standpoint. Now, if I'm coaching Will, first of all, if I'm going to play him in press, I'm going to make him press. This was weak sauce.
Yeah.
He maybe just got a little hand on him, didn't jam him, didn't knock him off his route, and then didn't have the recovery speed once he had to turn his hips to get on top of the route. And let's Puka right by. So
I get it.
Go
It's
ahead.
Puka and it's tough too, but that's kind of the nice thing about having one of those receivers. They're your best deep threat. They're your best short field receiver. You can put them in the slot, but man, the idea of just one-on-one coverage on the outside, that's pretty tough.
Or you back him off a little where he's better at playing his man off the top of the route. And now he doesn't get beat like that. Will is better where he can sort of do an angle cover at the top of a route that he can then come up and jump.
It's just another example of poor coaching, poor technique, lack of growth.
Right.
Here's one of your top draft picks.
Right. And this is why I say we need coaches with gravitas. Because no one's going to get on this staff is going to get through to Will Johnson. I can tell you this right now. If no one has by now, which they haven't, you're just not going to. And then you've got his issue of injuries and stuff. You're going to need an experienced coach who's going to command this young man's attention and pull him in and coach him up and get him to give you the best results possible. That's not happening with this staff. It's just so easy to there are no repercussions for failing, and there's no repercussions for missing tackles. And, you play a sloppy technique like that against a world-class receiver, you're going to get burned. And the preparation should have been much better than that. And unfortunately, it wasn't.
We see it every week.
We do see it every week. And it's frustrating. And we have all this talent, but it's got to be molded. And you got to be held to, look at what Vic Fangio did with his two rookies last year, DeJean and Mitchell. I mean, early on they had a little struggles and whatever, but the bar was set at the highest possible setting, and he kept pushing them and playing them and pushing them and playing them, and by the time the Super Bowl comes, they're outstanding.
But you got to remember, Walt, Vic Fangio has way too much experience to coach for this franchise. He has way too much success, way too much experience to coach for this franchise.
Well, we got to find someone who has enough.
Well, we've had 3 years to find coaches. When Ossenfort was asked about concerns about his coaching staff lack of experience, he emphasized philosophy. He said, and I quote, "Experience is not synonymous with knowledge. He values energy, talent, and vision." Well, how's that working out for us, Monty?
I mean, this is how naive Monty is. And it's stunning that he came out of the Belichick system with this philosophy of utter BS. Knowledge is everything.
Yep. Very few coaches have been able to ride Belichick, their relationship and experience with Belichick, into their own success.
Well, and Monty's it's as if he never knew Bill or worked for him.
Well, he worked for him, but Belichick made all the decisions, didn't he? Obviously, Monty didn't learn a whole hell of a lot. you bring in a young,
right.
When you bring in a young, inexperienced coaching staff, and he says experience is not synonymous with knowledge. So then you bring in a young staff. Well, that must mean like when the Rams brought in McVay,
right?
He didn't have experience, but you know what he knows? He knows football. He's innovative. He has a plan. He understands talent. He understands how to develop talent. And so does his GM. We don't have any of that here. None.
Right. And, you know, I mean, McVay came in with the knowledge of how to coordinate and run an innovative offense. So he's bringing that with him. He had that special talent to begin with. The question would have been, how are older veterans going to relate to him? But clearly, McVay has a way with people. He has charisma, but the knowledge is what impresses the players. Is like, wow, this guy really knows his shit.
Well, plus he has position coaches who have knowledge and experience too. He didn't bring in a bunch of neophytes to learn on the job like we did.
I mean, he brought in Wade Phillips, excuse me, to start out with, which was perfect.
Yeah.
I mean, banking on his wealth of knowledge after all those years. He didn't bring in a buddy from the Washington staff who was like a linebacker coach and never had any experience. And he's put that defense in good hands ever since. Brandon Staley had a great year with them. And Raheem Morris had a great year with them and both guys landed head coaching jobs because of it. You know, so, you know, who you pick. But here's the thing with the Cardinals. It's like a master class in, you know, like a medieval control hierarchy. Like the owner wants a GM to be his puppet. So he hires someone who agrees to his terms, his quid pro quos and whatever, and he's got him locked down as a minion. So then this new hires a young coach who's never had been a head coach before, so that he can control him. So then the young head coach hires nothing but inexperienced assistant coaches, including two coordinators who've never called a play at anywhere at any time in their careers. Because, and again, it's a total control situation. Like they should be indebted to him that they've been given this much too soon, or this early on, or whatever. So, but you know, that kind of, and Monty said he was going to line this whole thing up, like with philosophy. Well, look at what this philosophy is defensively. It's ultra conservative. Let's just not give up the big play. So let's give up everything underneath. Let's not break our asses tackling anyone. And you want to talk about philosophy. What's redeemable about this defensive philosophy? I mean, how do you win games with this? Especially when games are tight and on the line, what do? They back it off even more. I mean, BA would be absolutely BS with this. He'd be like, you're not coaching for me if it's like this. We're coming after people. We're not dropping back. We're coming forward after you. There's a big difference in philosophy there, you know? So, yeah, I mean, that's why I think Ossenfort is way out of his element. I don't think he really gets it. I have no confidence in him whatsoever. Not for making all these naive moves right off the bat and breaking NFL rules to do it. I mean, it costing us a draft pick. And here's the other thing about Monty, why I'm convinced he has to go, is that while some of his draft picks have been good, he picks a lot of guys with injury situations that now, you know, come back to bite him in the ass and the team in the ass. Garrett Williams, Ojulari, Johnson, you know, and then his free agent signings, particularly in year 2, just mind-boggling, and
Terrible.
those have all backfired. But the biggest one of all for me is I think he fell out of favor with the GMs in the league after he exposed Nick Caserio of the Texans and made that trade conversation public. I mean, that's a breach of GM decorum that right off the bat in his first year as GM, I think it turned off the GMs. I don't think he'll ever be able to make a significant move in the first round again. And, this is a year where maybe you're going to have to if you want to go up and get one of those quarterbacks. Well, we don't know where the Cardinals are going to end up, but if they're not in striking range, if they want one of those quarterbacks, they're going to have to trade up. But I don't think any GM is going to give Monty the satisfaction of him gloating about it after, Cardinal fans, Cardinals owned this team, So we get to see the team Cardinals owned in the first year next week in Houston, as Kyle Litterock is showcasing with his Houston Astros hat. There it is. Okay, we're going to see the difference of two philosophies coming out of the gate of like how to, get a horrible football program on track. And we're going to see, we can be able to compare and contrast what these franchises have in common, but that trade, which was so gloated over and so prematurely, heralded as this major coup for the Cardinals, has actually bitten them in the butt. I mean, in certain ways, so, I mean, it made them reach for Ojulari in round 2. I mean, there's a ripple effect of things that they did wrong, in my opinion. But I don't think now, I think we need a GM, again, that has a gravitas or, a respect factor with the other GMs in the league. And then we have a chance. But with Monty, I think that ship has sailed. He'll get other second and third round offers when he's given up premier spots, like where people picked up, like Laporta and, early second rounders. They're easy to trade away because, like the Eagles came up and got DeJean because of it. I mean, so, that'll work for anybody because, they've got players there they want to jump on and they don't care who they're trading with, as long as it's someone foolish enough to come out of that pick. So, but first round picks that make huge differences and can shape franchises, I don't think, Monty's going to be able to do it. And I know the last 2 years he's tried to move up in both years and could not find a partner. And I think that that's a coordinated effort on the part of the GM. So that's another reason why. And, and I also, just one more thing, think about Monty is I don't think he's got the gravitas to bring in, an experienced guy who will want to relish this opportunity. I think if you bring in a new guy who's got a connection with a guy with a coach with gravitas, then you have a better chance. But with Monty on his own after the Gannon failure and his, just breaching decorum with the NFL GMs and his, I think he'd probably have to hire a total newbie again and hope. But it's just become so crystal clear. We can't go the newbie direction anymore. We need an experienced leader who has the gravitas to get the best out of the players and to coach them out of the bad habits that they've been getting under Gannon, and reinstill the want to in in playing tackle football on top of the technique. So, what's up next?
Just a couple quick plays before we go. We'll start with this long touchdown kind of at the end of the game for the Rams. Blake Corrum break into the second level, touchdown, 45-10.
Pathetic.
It was two first downs in a row on change of possession that the Rams scored TDs. The Puka TD we saw was a 1st and 10 of a new drive. And now this was 1st and 10 of a new drive. Back-to-back, first down and give up defense.
253 yards on the ground and 3 scores on 33 running plays. They averaged 8.5 yards per carry.
Yeah, the Rams offensive line dominated this football game. And I posted on Twitter, all their pre-FF grades are like in the 70s and 80s. They're having a kick-ass season. And that's what the Cardinals needed this year. They needed their offensive line to take the next step from doing so well last year. But they let the guy who had the one best thing going for the team leave the building. It's just so unbelievable how this happens to the Cardinals and that they allow it to happen.
All right, one last Michael Wilson touchdown in a 45-10 game.
Now, this was Puka-esque. This route was Puka-esque. Look at him shake, look back shoulder. It's almost identical to the one that Puka scored and backpedaled in. And look at the feet, Michael Wilson's feet. Boom. Right there, he's got the angle, and he's outplayed the leverage, and the back shoulder is wide open. And Jacoby drops a perfect dime at the perfect time. It's so encouraging. I mean, so many fans are just totally convinced that Jacoby's just a garbage time player. I mean, look at this. Look at it this way. I mean, we played against Matthew Stafford. Do you know how old he is? He's 37. Do you know how old Kurt Warner was when he took the Cardinals to their only Super Bowl? Kyle, you're a historian. What would you guess? How old was Kurt?
I'm going to go
2008.
33.
Try 37.
Yeah.
Okay. Now, Jacoby's 32. Geno Smith was in his young 30s when he started getting good. I mean, we've got this league where older players, I mean, they pointed this out yesterday on Fox, was the 3 biggest passing total games of quarterbacks this year are from Brissett, Russell Wilson, and Joe Flacco. I mean, this has become a pocket passing league. You've got to be able to win from the pocket over the middle and then to the sides too. And Jacoby is demonstrating he has that ability. Yet you want to pigeonhole him as, he's a career backup. Jacoby's never played a stretch of games like this in his career, where he's stacking, good passing performances on top of passing performances. Fox showed, in completions over the last X amount of games, number 1 in the NFL. Yards, number 1 in the NFL. Touchdowns or something. Tied for first or whatever in the NFL. Dude is balling. So, I mean, at least we know he's coming back next year. And I think it's really comforting to know. And here's the other thing is I mean, in a way, Michael Wilson represents all that's wrong with this coaching staff personnel-wise. Because he was right under their noses for 3 years and didn't do squat. And in part, it was because Kyler Murray doesn't do the kind of things with his receivers that a Matthew Stafford does. But now we know that Jacoby has that in him. He's been giving assignments to the players. He's been pulling them in. I mean, the chemistry between McBride and Jacoby and Wilson and Jacoby is undeniable at this point. I mean, and they love him. They feel so confident in his ability. So here's what I think you do: is you know you're bringing Jacoby back. So, and if you can get if you can get Mendoza or more, I think now with Simpson, we'll have to see how Obama got in, so we'll get to see more Simpson. Simpson's going to be more like a project. I don't think he's a plug and play guy. I think Mendoza could be, and I think Moore could be. But also having Jacoby on board to get the whole thing started and set up and be a leader, I think is an advantage to be able to work in another quarterback next year. Now, there are other ways to do this and other ways to think of it. If you don't get, if you can't get one of the first rounders in the first round, in my opinion, we need to do what we should have done when we passed on Will Anderson. Is we need a just outstanding linebacker on this defense to be a tone setter and to get our pass rush competent. I mean, it's not even competent right now. They had like 5 pressures the whole game, and I never saw them come really close to Stafford. And their offensive line, I mean, look what they do. They clear out and give him like a Mack truck lane passing lanes. It's so impressive how they do this. They influence the defender a certain way, and they block him out, and they push him out. And, it's awesome to watch. And this guy, Stafford, can just sit there and pick people apart. I mean, the TD pass he threw to Parkinson, the tight end, was into triple coverage. But if you looked at the 22 tape, he had, like there's no one even remotely near the passing lane. And so he was had all day to just look that in and throw it in there on a laser, and Parkinson made the catch amidst a crowd, and here you have another TD. And there are ways, Clayton Adams will tell you this. There are ways to block it this way, so you create your quarterback these wide open passing lanes, and the Rams do that really, really well, and that's something the Cardinals have got to get. They've got to get their mojo back on the offensive line. I think the Cardinals' offensive line has actually been pretty good the last 2 weeks. I mean, there were only 3 sacks last week, only 3 sacks today. And people who were saying, oh, well, it would have been so much less with Kyler. Time out. Kyler was averaging 3.1 sacks a game in his first 5 games. And Jacoby's averaging 3.8. So it's a little bit more, but he's also passing. He's extending drives and running way more plays than Kyler ever was. So there are way more opportunities to get sacked, is what I'm saying. And I think the Cardinals' offensive line, and they were makeshift yesterday with Gainsey coming in, with Everett Brown being out due to personal matter, and I guess Paris got hurt at the end of the game, maybe a knee. So the much anticipated Paris versus Will Anderson Jr. might be in jeopardy. Hopefully not. Hopefully he's fine, but That's the other thing with Jacoby is where are the running backs? The starters are gone. First 2, 3 are gone. DeMarcado's been out. So now you're on running back 4, who Bam's doing well, and 5, Carter's doing pretty well. But we had 50 yards rushing yesterday. And, which has been less than what we've been getting. And, when you dig yourself a hole, you're passing all the time. But, and that's something that needs to be addressed. But we have these makeshift situations too, which I think makes what Jacoby's doing even more impressive. And now, teams are snuffing out stuff that the redundancies and repetitiveness of a Petzing offense that, it seems like here's what it seems like. It seems like in first halves, Petzing does a really good job at choreographing, drives and plays. But it feels like in second halves he's sort of run out of fresh options. Like you're just sort of in, kind of running back the same stuff that you hope it worked the first time and worked the second time. There's not a lot of innovative, not a lot of surprise, plays and it's just kind of bland. And it's sort of not meant to be sustained yet because it's not as diverse as it needs to be, or multifaceted. And maybe that was the problem with trying to get through 2 quarterbacks. But that's where they've got to get a coordinator who can be fresh for 60 minutes. It's not easy to do, but the experienced ones and some who've done it before know it's like writing a great novel. You got to save your best for last. And because that's where the whole thing's going to, win. And I think that Petzing does some really good things early, but late, not so much. And that's where, we're having struggling at the end of games.
Well, let's not sugarcoat it. Last 2 weeks, they've amassed over 300 yards in offense and only scored 17 points. Yesterday, they had 10 points all game until the Rams benched most of their defense, benched most of their offense, and so they scored another 7 points. It was a gimme.
Yeah.
The 10 points. That 17 points out of 300 yards of offense.
Right.
That's lack of innovation. That's lack of, we say it every week, lack of situational play calling. Absolutely no ability to call plays that wind up in scoring.
Not enough of them. We missed Torch. We missed, we need those playmakers like wide receiver 3 and 4 now to like step up and give us I thought Jordan Brooks, new kid on the roster, made a really nice catch on a scramble that Jacoby made and threw on the run that was really nice. So he looks like a good player. He looks like a tough kid. So we're going to get a good look at him again next week, I imagine. So, and, the depth is an interesting thing. But yeah, you're right. That it's been a tough time last 2 weeks of scoring and keeping up with the 23 points we were getting earlier per game. And part of that is I think teams are better prepared, as Todd Bowles let us know. And I think the Rams were. I think the Rams, and to Jacoby's credit, I think no team's taken Jacoby lightly. You heard Todd Bowles raving about him. And I think that McVay I know he was worried about him. And because, what he's putting on tape is pretty dang good. I mean, I mean, the dimes he's throwing and the way he's throwing them. And so kudos to him. But if we're thinking ahead, let's go to this list of guys that I think we need a guy with gravitas. And with that, it's sort of like, the word term for leader, commander, someone who you want to please, someone you want to pledge your allegiance to, someone you pay attention to, someone you know is going to hold you to the standards that will make you a better player and is going to buy into, and is a master. It needs the know-how too. You need to be a masterful coach in situations and have that under your belt. If you've got those two things, I think you can be an amazing head coach. So I made a small list here of guys that I think have that to a degree. Kyle, take us through.
All right. Your head coaching candidates with gravitas and know-how. You went with Robert Saleh, defensive coordinator in San Francisco. Vic Fangio.
Right. So with each one, I'm going to have Sam give a quick reaction to.
Sure.
Saleh.
He's not coming here. He already coached. He already got railroaded by a poor franchise with a lousy owner. He's not coming here.
Okay.
He did almost take the Jaguars job, which in fairness, the Jaguars are okay now, but the Jaguars, he was almost willing to take the Jaguars job when that looked like a disaster.
Yeah.
So if you go through this entire list, every single one of these guys is looking at two things: ownership and quarterback. We have a good owner? No, we do not. Do we have a long-term franchise quarterback? No, we do not. We have a stopgap quarterback who's playing his ass off, playing the best football of his life. But he's only won one football game. So there you go. Fangio, he's not coming here. He wants to be a DC for the rest of his life. He's had it with being a head coach. Clayton Adams, he didn't have the gravitas. As good as he is, here's what we need from this list and from any coach we interview. Who are your position coaches? Show me who your staff is. Who's this guy? He's never coached before? Not acceptable. Who's this guy? He's a league kid who the league is bringing in to get him a place in football with the I forget what the program is for the NFL, but those guys are. One of those kids is our quarterback coach. How's that working out? One of those kids is our I think assistant linebackers coach. How's that working out? Those guys were towel boys prior to their experience as a position coach for the Cardinals. This head coaching, whoever the head coach is, needs to say to Monti or whoever's interviewing him, and I hope it isn't Monti, has to show that he's got position coaches with success, experience in the NFL level before they get hired.
Right.
Brian Dable can bring some good people with him.
Yes.
Chris Shula is well known and can bring in some people.
Yes.
I do think that since we do not have a quarterback, and since we've seen dismal offensive play calling, we need an offensive coach, not a defensive coach. We need an offensive coach. And if we bring in a defensive coach, he sure as hell better have a pretty damn good OC coming in to work with him.
Right. I think that's true on both sides.
Yeah.
Is that if it's an offensive guy, he's got a defensive guy in mind, an experienced guy who you go, yeah, that's the guy. Yeah. On the flip side, it works the other way. If you have a defensive guy, he's got an offensive guy. He's confident, can take the team to the next level.
Right.
So I think the package you're absolutely right about. So
You've got Clint Kubiak there. It would be
yeah,
terrific to hire him because it weakens Seattle. And
right,
Clint Kubiak comes in with the staff. He's got Rick Dennison. He's got a package. And now, Clint, who are you going to bring in as a defensive coordinator? That's what I want to know. Is
right,
he 29 years old like Nick Rawls, who's never been a DC before? Pass, hard pass.
right.
And I think Clint Kubiak, with his time with Flores in Minnesota, and Clint Kubiak's got gravitas. Clint
Yeah,
Kubiak has success.
yeah,
Clint Kubiak has relationships across the league,
right.
and he can bring in a staff. Now, let's talk about the elephant in the room. You got a GM who should be on the hot seat, just as hot as his coaching staff.
Right.
Any of these guys going to come to work for Monti Ossenfort, who might have one foot out the door?
Yeah, that's why we need. Here's what's going to land one of these guys is knowing that they can do what Liam Cohen's doing in Jacksonville,
Yeah,
which is coming in tandem with a GM he wants and
right,
likes.
right.
So that's why I thought, I had a bunch of GM candidates for Clint Kubiak. One of the assistant GM at Seattle comes to mind, who's I think an up and comer, and that could work. Even the assistant guy that was at New Orleans when Kubiak was there last year, he's an up and comer. I mean, someone who's worked for Loomis
Yeah,
and
well, yeah.
pardon me,
Mickey Loomis knows how to
Mickey Loomis.
evaluate
Yeah,
coaching talent and
right, right,
demands an experienced staff. But let's take it these names, and there'll probably be some more names by the end of the year.
right,
So then let's look at all these coaches, and they're going to say, Arizona Cardinals. Now, how do they compare to the other potential coaching openings that we have around the league?
right,
So the Browns will be looking for a coach. The Falcons will probably be looking for a
right,
coach. You got the Raiders, Dolphins, Giants. Giants and Titans are already looking for a coach.
right,
So they're ahead of the game. You got maybe the Steelers, which would be, as far as I'm concerned, if they fire Mike Tomlin, Mike Bidwell needs to get on the plane and offer Tomlin a little ownership or equity in this franchise and bring
right,
Mike Tomlin in. You want to
right,
change a culture? You want to fix a football team? You want to motivate players? You want to get the most out of players? You hire Mike Tomlin. But if you look at all these openings across the league, and you might have an opening with the Bengals, you might even have an opening with Buffalo. Name one coach who's going to come to work for the Cardinals without a quarterback and a lame duck GM and a horrible owner, the poorest owner in the NFL. Tell me which one's going to opt to sign a contract and be the new scapegoat head coach of the Arizona Cardinals.
Well, the reason why I'm setting it up this way is that like you said, and I agree completely. If it's just Monty out there hiring, it's not going to happen. If it's a package deal, however, like sort of the arrangement that went on in Jacksonville, where it's a tandem GM coaching situation where they have the autonomy to run the program and do it their way, then I think it has a chance. Because there are only 32 of these jobs. And if Bidwell agrees to, like sign it over to them, which I think he needs to do, there's a reckoning going on there now. His narcissism might get in the way of it, but I think he's really got to give someone the autonomy to get these things right. Because if he's looking at his own moves, they're backfiring left and right. I have for quite a while. But so I mean, of the names on this list, I mean, in my Clint Kubiak article this week on Red Rain blog, which I invite all of you to go back and read, I thought three very good defensive coordinator options for Kubiak. One was Joe Woods, who was the defensive coordinator for the Saints when Kubiak was offensive coordinator. That guy is a stud.
Yep.
And and he'd be readily available because he didn't get a DC job this year. He's an assistant at another program right now. I also had Gus Bradley with his ties to Seattle. So I mean, Gus Bradley has been around the block a long time, and he's the assistant head coach, defensive advisor for the 49ers right now. And then I had the kid the young guy in Tennessee. I think is really good. It's going to be an amazing hire for somebody. I think he's an up and comer. I'll think of his name in a minute, but I think he's doing a great job with the Titans with very little talent this year. They're playing hard and well on defense. So back to the list. So Dayball, like you said, I think he has the connections and he's good with quarterbacks. And we will have the attraction of a high draft pick. So at least that works in our favor too. So anyone thinking, well, I want to get a quarterback, looks like we have the wherewithal to get one. If not this year, next year's quarterback pool is really deep and exciting. So, but I think you can also draft like your QB2, maybe wild card starter in like the middle rounds this year with like Nussmeier. You'll get a guy like that, or Drew Allar. He had a tough year this year, but we know the kid has talent, and you could make him into at least your QB2 for now. But maybe he matures in that system under like a Brian Dayball and gets good. I mean, Dayball got great starts out of what's his name, Tommy DeVito, who's now QB3 in New England. I mean, so and then like Chris Shula, we saw him yesterday. He was making great counters to what the Cardinals were doing. He's got that defense cranked. Jim Leonard, who you pointed out to us in Denver, who's got a real talent with defensive backs. It'd be interesting to see what kind of a package he could put together. I've just been loving this guy, Kelvin Shepard, in Detroit. Have you been watching him?
I have not.
Have you been noticing, Kyle? Have you seen Detroit lately?
Yeah, I mean, Detroit's defense seems to be, I mean, they've battled injuries recently, but for the start of the season, at least, they seem to have not lost much of a step since Aaron Glenn departed. I know mostly the offense and kind of their running game issues have kind of been the thing that's held them back, especially on the offensive line for Detroit. But defense seems like it's doing great. They're getting great pass rush.
Right. And like 3 or 4 weeks ago, they were on Monday Night Football and they had half their lineup out. Their whole starting secondary was out. Every starter. And those dudes balled like that was just so impressive, with second stringers coming up, making plays, interceptions. They just got out. There was the aggressiveness I saw in that Detroit defense for that one game outshines the entire season of Cardinals aggressiveness.
Well, there's no question. And you look at Detroit last year, where their entire defense was decimated with injuries. There are no excuses there. They still balled into the playoffs. They still played well, and they're doing it with a highly injured team this year. There are no excuses for the Cardinals because they have injuries. That will be the excuse to keep this staff around. I guarantee it. But you look how Detroit, with their head coach, overachieved with a decimated defense. I think 70% of the kids on defense last year were on IR, and they still went deep into the playoffs and played their asses off every game.
Yep. That's what you need in this league now, because it's just such a tale of attrition and depth, and being able to do more with less.
That's why you need a GM who can evaluate talent, who drafts healthy kids, and puts them in the hands of a coaching staff who knows what the hell they're doing.
Exactly. And then the last two, Sperano and Fraley, two of the very best, offensive coordinator type running game guys and offensive line teachers. I mean, their offensive lines really get after it, and they both have charisma and gravitas in that respect. And I think they bring something special and could be really good head coaches if tapped upon, that would hold the whole group to standards. So, and I was thinking that, looking at the top of this draft, if we couldn't get one of the quarterbacks, there are four guys I've identified who I think would be amazing additions to our defense. We've got to get a guy opposite Sweat who's going to put pressure on defenses, or hybrid inside outside linebacker. So I'm going to draw you to four guys that I put on a graphic here, and with Matt Millen's, Kyle will read you Matt Millen's blurbs on the guys, and then we have some quick videos to show you. Not from there, from the email.
Oh yeah, but these are just the Matt Miller write-ups for the players here.
But I cut and pasted them for the email so that we could, pull them up quick. Mm-hmm. And then I went and did the quick video, so we give people a good look. But these are four defensive studs who I think would immediately upgrade our defense and our pass rusher, our athleticism, and tackling ability, and want to. These dudes are ballers. I thought long and hard about Caleb. What's his last name?
Caleb Love.
Yeah. Caleb on Ohio State. But I think we've got enough good players in the secondary. So, can we just go to the blurbs that I put in the in the email? So, Reese is the first guy. I mean, this guy is, he is, people are saying Micah Parsons-esque, and physically, he looks the part. I don't know if you've been watching Ohio State, but man, this kid is really loaded. And so, and we have a couple quick videos on this. Beautiful. All right. So let's read that, Kyle.
All right. Trying to crop it for people. Arvell Reese. Reese wasn't on the NFL draft radar before the season, but has shot up the board as one of the nation's most productive and promising players. A hybrid defender who plays linebacker and edge rusher. There are obvious comparisons to Micah Parsons and Abdul Carter. Reese has the length, elite burst, and power to be dangerous off the edge, as evidenced by his 6.5 sacks this season in a part-time edge role. His flexibility and athletic tools at a premium position could make Reese the number one pick.
And if guys are going for quarterbacks and Reese slides down and he's there, boy, I would pounce on him. I just want to offer this, caveat as well. With all the great quarterbacks in next year's draft, I'm not in favor of trading multiple first-round picks to move up. Just an FYI. I am not in favor of that. I particularly, seeing as you might get a better quarterback next year. But I'm also high enough on a number of guys who could be super sleepers in this class that you can get later in the draft. So here we go. There he is, number 8. Look at the speed, the chase speed. There's our, Mendoza. Number 8. Now, look at him sift through traffic there, too. That was impressive. All right, so that shows you his chasing speed. Also wanted to see what was the other thing here we go. This is in the Michigan game. Look at that. Perfect. That's how to break down and tackle in space. Perfect mirror. Oh, and there he's coming up in coverage. This kid's diverse. Look at this. Perfect. See, this is what we need on this team. We need fundamental tacklers with the want to, and this kid's got it. So let's go on to the next prospect. Reese's Pieces, boy.
You want to
make somebody happy.
So you want to talk about Ruben Bain Jr. from Miami.
Big bad Bain.
Yeah, Bain has produced since arriving on campus as a freshman, registering 7.5 stacks in 2023 and not looking back since. He has combined power with first step speed and strong hands to become a well-rounded, refined 5 or 6 technique defensive end. With an all-around game that reminds of Jared Verse, Bain is the most finished defensive line prospect in this class. He has to clean up the missed tackles, which occur when he closes to the ball with high leverage, but Bain is otherwise a very clean edge talent with double-digit sack upside in the NFL.
And the video?
All right, let's pull up.
Yeah, Bain is a baller. Bain he does. He reminds me of Jared Verse with maybe a little sneakier quickness to the football, if that's even imaginable. His get-off is pristine. The blend of power and agility and speed jumps out at you on tape. Look at him. And the motor is tip-top. Yeah. Shed the block. Boom. Plus, he can play the 5 technique. I sort of like him as a 6, but I think 5 makes him all the more versatile. Beautiful. Shed, stack, tackle. Stack, shed, tackle. All right, Bain. Bain could be a boon for the Cardinals.
Yeah, I'm trying to think the last time they drafted edge at the top of the draft. I guess technically Hassan Reddick would be the answer, but
yeah.
All right, here's your next guy, David Bailey.
Oh, this kid's a little smaller, but boy, oh boy, is he a keg of dynamite. Go ahead.
Right. Bailey was the nation's most impactful defensive transfer, finishing the regular season with an FBS leading 12.5 sacks after arriving from Stanford. He also has 62 pressures, second most in FBS. Bailey's first step causes problems for offensive tackles, and he counters well with leverage and strong hands. He is also relentless in pursuing the ball, which has helped him rack up 18.5 tackles for loss this season.
Yeah,
that's a stat.
He's a projected mid-first rounder. There's a kid I like a lot.
Yeah.
Especially if they can maybe trade their second pick and move up and get him.
Yeah, well, I think he's a top 10 player. And I think by the time they have the process, people will be on board with that.
Probably move up, yeah. He's projected between 12 and 20 right now.
Yeah, right, exactly.
I like this kid a lot.
Yeah.
Right here. There's your first one. And then now we have this other video of his Texas Tech era.
Yeah.
Oh, look who he's playing.
Right through the middle. Against Arizona State.
Yeah. That's why I like him. Yeah, he's
got a spin to the ball.
Oh, yeah.
He's got short area quickness. He reminds me of that kid Barrett for the Bucks. Remember him?
Oh, yeah, Shaq Barrett.
Mm-hmm. Shaq Barrett.
Yeah.
Reminds me a lot of that. And, you know, Barrett was 10+ sacks there for about 5 years in a row. And, you know, put a guy like that opposite Sweaty, and we're starting to talk. Here's the thing, though. You know, people could say, well, you can address it in free agency again. We spent all this money on edges. I mean, you paid Baron Browning $15 million.
He's done nothing.
He's been, yeah.
Another Monti trade.
He's not tackling.
No.
You know,
not developing.
And Collins tackles, but he's not a good edge rusher still. Not a prolific one anyway. And then Ojulari, you know, I'm not sure he's ever going to be he still hasn't started a game in his career. I think he's more of a situational rusher, which is fine. But he hasn't done much yet, but he's trying to get himself back. We'll have to see the last 4 games. And then Birch, to me, has been really a disappointment. In spring, you know, in the preseason, I was thinking, wow, this kid's going to really help us. In games, he hasn't really stood out at all. He's kind of tentative. Now, some coach with gravitas might come in and turn Jordan Birch into a household name. He's got that kind of talent, in my opinion. But for some reason, he's playing slow here, slow to react, and it's not as aggressive as I thought he would be, and certainly not as prolific in the pass rush as I thought he'd be. So but he's someone to work with. So that's why I'm in favor of drafting rather than adding to the cap numbers that we already have, you know, paying Sweat, Browning, Collins, etc.
There's some good free agent edges and outside linebackers in the league this year, coming out this league. I mean, you got Trey Hendrickson. They're not going to be able to sign him. Jalen Phillips would be a good option, especially, you know, he's a Philly guy.
Yeah.
Traded from Miami. I don't know if he's going to sign an extension with Philly, but there's a guy who isn't signed right now.
Yeah.
And you got the Mafe kid from Seattle. He's a pretty good player. I mean, his fit in this current Seahawks defense is questionable.
Right.
He'd be a nice target. I don't know what his value is going to be. And I like, you know, they're not going to get Joey Bosa. And, well, maybe they will. I don't know. He's on the wrong side of 31.
Yeah, no.
But, you know, I like your list of draft picks. I like the kid from the Clemson kid, T.J. Parker.
Oh yeah, I like him too.
He's pro ready. He's got good quickness, and the kid from Auburn, Falk. He's a 6'6" kid. He's a good player. He's strong at the point of attack.
Right.
He's pretty good off the edge. He's got pretty good bend.
Right. Have you guys watched Sonny Styles? God, I love this kid.
Yeah, only with Ohio State.
Oh my God.
I haven't gone through the tape yet, but
he's a modern day NFL inside linebacker with size, speed, and instincts. Go ahead, Kyle.
Yeah, Styles fits the mold of a long, fast, versatile linebacker prospect who is regularly drafted in the first round. His speed, length, power in his hands, and range jump off the tape. And as a former safety, Styles knows how to turn and move in coverage too. Though Arvell Reese has gotten much of the Ohio State defensive attention, Styles has 69 tackles and 1 interception this season and has shown pass rush ability with 6 sacks in 2024.
Love this kid. I love
watching. His dad played football, didn't he? Didn't his dad play for the Rams?
Oh yeah,
Lorenzo.
Yeah, good call. Yep. This kid mirrors the football. Unbelievable. Watch this.
Former safety.
Yes.
Huh?
Stack, shed, tackle.
Yeah, he's a monster against the run. High football IQ.
See how he mirrored his way to the hole? Boom. I love the fact that Cody Simons played with him too. They could make a really good tandem for years to come in our middle.
You know, he wears that O on his Ohio State jersey. You know what that means?
Captain, yeah.
Yeah, that's an honor. That's an annual honor to one kid. That's Buckeye legend Bill Willis started that. That's who that's a tribute to. Yeah.
Give me one of those 4 kids.
Who's going to develop these kids, Walt?
Well, hopefully, we're going to get a coach with gravitas and know-how, and the players are going to gravitate to. Look at what Vrabel's doing in New England.
Oh,
I mean, he's doing a tremendous job with that defense on top of an offense that's like clicking on all cylinders. That was a perfect scenario of a guy coming in, defensive-minded head coach, but he had an offensive guy with him in Josh McDaniels. Can't get better than that. Nope. Now they've locked this thing down, and they're legitimate, Super Bowl contenders.
So
at this point, I mean,
let's plug the Cardinals into Mike Vrabel's options when he was deciding to go to work for the Patriots or the Cardinals. Patriots got a young kid, top draft pick, probably the best owner in the NFL, certainly a very successful, aggressive owner in the NFL.
Right.
Who's he going to go to work for? He's going to go work for Mikey, or is he going to go for the Patriots?
That would have been a no-brainer. But now he's settled. Right. We got to find our version, either that or of Liam Cohen, who's doing an amazing job in Jacksonville. There were all sorts of problems there when he came in, and
no question, underperforming quarterback, right?
He's a bright guy, and players really gravitate towards him. He's a communicator. He's holds them to standards, high standards, and he's an offensive-minded guy. But his defense he put him in the hands of Anthony Campanile, who also is getting some pub as a potential head coaching candidate only 1 year into his job as a DC. And I know him pretty well because he coached at Boston. He was a coordinator at Boston College. And we played him last week, and I saw the adjustments he was making in that game. I thought was where we played him recently, and the Jags, and I thought he coached a great game against us. So, it's the tandem that matters, and it's the chemistry with the GM, and all three need to be sort of in lockstep. And unlike what's happening here, where Monty, JG, Petzing, and Rouse, I don't see a lockstep. Do you?
Yeah. Well, I see lockstep. Go ahead, Kyle. I'm sorry.
I was just going to say, I don't think it matters at this point,
Right.
lockstep or not. I mean, when you're in year 3 and you're 3-10, it doesn't matter whether you're in lockstep or not. You're not really getting the results.
They should be in lockstep out the door. They're in lockstep and failure.
Yeah, well,
they never did get that veteran coach in the door, which kind of to your guys' point about coordinators, though, is that if you are going to go the veteran coordinator route, you're probably going to get someone who the fan base is going to be like, are we really sure about this guy? Because that's the only way first time coaches get it. I still remember you mentioned the Patriots, and when they announced McDaniels was going to be the offensive coordinator, Patriots fans were like, what the hell are we doing? Why are we bringing this nut job back after what he did with the Raiders?
And I'll be right back. Continue. Keep going.
Yeah. And it's kind of that idea of you're either going to hire the 29-year-old first-time coordinator like Liam Cohen did on both sides of the ball and like JG did the first time, or you're going to end up with someone who has some sort of baggage when you're hiring a first-time coach or a first-time coach hiring a coordinator, because otherwise that guy would get swooped up by some other team. I looked at the Jets hired Steve Wilkes as defensive coordinator, who was out of the league after the 49ers fired him. So, the Jets brought him back. The Saints brought Brandon Staley in as defensive coordinator, and Brandon Staley his reputation was in the gutter after the Chargers let him go. So if you're either going to bring in the first time guys where this is their first opportunity, like the Cardinals just did with Petzing and Rallis, and they'll bring in some new version of Petzing and Rallis, or you're going to get a veteran guy where the fan base at first is going to be like, why the hell are we hiring this person? Because every first time hire goes through something like that. You're either hiring the 29-year-old assistant or you're hiring a coordinator with baggage, because otherwise that coordinator would go to a better job.
Right. Yeah.
Well, and I guess that's what I've been saying. The job with the Arizona Cardinals is the bottom of the barrel job. You're right. 32 teams. You only got 32 opportunities. And the worst opportunity is with the Arizona Cardinals. And as far as not firing these coaches with 3 losing seasons in a row since 2000 have been fired 80% of the time. So let's see what our genius owner does in comparison compared to that.
Yeah, there's you always hope too. Like there's a guy like BA out there who's never had a coach job, but comes with the gravitas, comes with the experience, Super Bowl winning offensive coordinator. You hope you find a guy who breaks the glass ceiling there, or you find a guy who failed at another head coaching job, like Belichick did in Cleveland. And then a lot of people like sit on like, he failed here, so why hire him? Because sometimes, previous failures are the best education. And sometimes when you have the motivation not to be stigmatized by a previously, disappointing outcome at a job, sometimes that inspires you to be extra good the next time around. And I think the Cardinals maybe could get lucky with a guy who's, been there before Like with Dayball. I mean, Dayball's got enough that, and he's got an edge to him that I think
Yes, he does.
this team needs an
Yes,
edge.
he does. Yeah. He's tough. He's tough on his players. There's no
He
question.
is.
Yeah.
And he holds them to high
Yes,
standards.
he does.
And he's excellent with quarterbacks. So,
He's excellent with Josh Allen, that's for sure.
Yeah, he has been. I mean, he was a breakthrough when he inherited Josh Allen came out of Wyoming throwing at 52%.
Yeah.
I mean, he had accuracy issues, but Dayball, settled the whole thing down, and it's awesome what he did with Allen. And if you watched Allen yesterday, oh my God, in that
Tremendous.
snow game, he was fantastic.
Yeah.
So here's what I wanted to end with. I said I would save this for the podcast on Twitter. I'm trying to find the one guy who really guessed it. I asked people if they had a clue. What was the last straw for Kyler? I mean, I think I have an idea as to how to pinpoint it. Do you guys have an inkling? Like what? I think it was for both ways, where it was at this moment the coaches said, I think we're going to move on to Jacoby. And it's at this moment that Kyler was like, I'm not a fit here anymore. This isn't working. Do you have anyone have an instinct on that?
The moment it happened?
Yeah. I mean, I think I thought it at the time it happened, and I thought, oh boy.
You mean the breaking point?
Yes.
All concerned?
Yes.
Yeah, I mean, I guess I would say the moment that the coaching staff is probably going to pivot is the moment that they decide I might be going down, but I'm not going down with Kyler Murray, essentially. I'm going to pull the break glass in case of emergency pin before I get fired going down with this guy. But I think the moment that became clear that that's the direction it was going, at least, was the Titans game. Because once you lose the Titans game in the fashion that you do, that was the moment where they're saying, okay, we are falling out of the playoff picture. We've just given up 2 games at this point. I kind of think the Titans game is kind of that inflection point where you kind of got to put everything on the table if you're fighting to try and save your job. And I don't know. I guess that's kind of the moment where I feel like everything kind of turned, or maybe that was the moment where it felt like this season's getting away from them. Cause I think they were still only 2-3 or 2-4 at the time. But the Titans game is kind of when it felt like the tone around everything kind of shifted.
That's what I think. I think Kyler went out with that foot injury during the game. Jacoby came in and immediately scored a key drive right off the bat. So maybe that was it. It had to be sometime in practice. It had to be a conversation in the locker room. It had to be behind the scenes. I don't know, Walt. What is it?
Yeah, I think you guys are right on it. I think it was at the press conference after the game, in the controversial 3rd and 8, where they didn't throw the ball. Now, interestingly, there was a context a day later that this sports doctor posts all over Twitter how Kyler could put no weight on his back foot, and that's why he went 2 for 4 in the 4th quarter and looked out of sorts. So I hadn't seen that yet, but then when I saw it the next day, I asked myself, how well aware were the Cardinals coaches of this foot injury, restricting Kyler? You know? And in days of old, Kyler would have said, if I can't be 100%, I'm not playing. But for some reason, he's still in this game. He's walked in and out of the locker room twice or whatever, but he's come back and he's playing in the game. It's 3rd and 8. You're clinging to a lead. And, but then we also learned this at that press conference, that Kyler was under a audible restriction and was told he could not audible out of this play. There were certain plays they were now telling him, you got to run the play. So the question was asked, so what was the play? What was the reasoning behind the play? Or, what's your reaction to the play? 3rd and 8, and we run the football for no gain. And now we have to punt it back to the Titans. And you remember what Kyler said?
He said, I do what the coaches tell me, something like that.
I just run what the coaches tell me to run.
Yeah.
I can imagine being the coaches right then going like, okay, dude, you're going to throw us under the bus? Okay, got you.
Which, even if they deserved it, the quarterback usually just takes the L themselves and just says, yeah, that's on me. Like, even that's kind of the misconception. Even if it is the coach's fault, normally the quarterback just takes the blame no matter whose fault it is.
Yeah, and I mean, at the same time, I think worrying about Kyler's ability to throw at that moment was a factor. If the coaches know what the doctor knows from the internet.
But what's he doing in there?
I know.
What the doctor knows, what the hell was he doing in there?
I mean, but once again, every time they put in a quarterback that's not Kyler, the only thing they relegate him to is like a 2-yard swing pass. They don't even let him pass downfield. I mean, this has been so bizarre. And, it speaks to how these guys handle quarterbacks. Let's go down the list.
No.
Colt McCoy. Oh, he'll be the starter. Never sees a snap, right? Josh Dobbs. What a waste that was. And all the fury and the panic and bringing him in for what? And then they don't even keep him.
They got a 6th-round pick for him.
I know. And then, they say, we're not trading you. And then they trade him. And then they throw Clayton Tune to the frickin' Wolves.
Yep.
In Cleveland, which made all these fans say that guy sucks.
Yep.
When you're going to put Johnny Unitas back there. For you young guys, Johnny Unitas was an Iron Man quarterback. And it wouldn't have mattered because it was just, makeshift line against that ferocious rush. Poor Clayton Tune. You drafted this kid and you hung him out to dry. And then you let him go. I mean, I know you wanted to re-sign him to the practice squad, but he was so poorly treated while he was here. That's my opinion. He might not feel that, but I feel that. I'm a guy you drafted and you hardly give him a chance and you let the fans resonate with this guy sucks attitude. I mean, it was just so irresponsible. And after 2 years, and they did everything they could to sort of get rid of him. They traded for Ritter. There's another guy. How'd Ritter do here? Awful.
Is Ritter even still in the league?
You traded Rondale Moore, a 2nd-round pick, for Ritter. And, you get nothing out of that. You ended up cutting Ritter, not getting anything in return value. So you just wasted a 2nd-round pick. That's because Clayton Tune beat him out, fair and square. But then it's Jacoby coming in, and I think, and I've been arguing this for as a Red Rain blog, I think Jacoby was a clear plan B. Because I think that the coaches were concerned if Kyler continued to struggle or just not, get the team over the hump, they wanted a guy who I thought was a better system fit. And so now, obviously Jacoby can't do the things that Kyler does well with his legs, but he hasn't been a stiff either.
He has not been a stiff, and he's been terrific. But you take that list of quarterbacks you just ran through, and you take the 2 starters this year. You got Kyler and you got Jacoby. Frankly, Walt, there isn't a quarterback in the entire league who could win with this team the way the offense scheme is run.
Yeah.
There isn't a quarterback in the league. So you keep this iteration of coaching staffs. Don't you dare draft a young quarterback. Don't you dare draft a young quarterback, because there's nobody there to develop him.
Well, if Moore falls on your lap, you got to take Dante Moore. He's, number 1 in his class coming out.
And you better bring somebody in besides Drew Petzing and Israel Woolfolk to develop.
Right. No, we need a new GM. We need a new entire coaching staff. And the word is gravitas. Words are gravitas and know-how. We've seen now, Gannon's lobbying. Let us be patient. Let us fix it. We've watched Gannon at work. Gannon worked for 3 years watching defenses not tackle, play soft, all to just prevent the bomb, but give up everything else. How's that working? When we need it most, do we see any adjustments? Do you see week to week? Oh, wow, this week they really have something going.
They're the worst 4th quarter defense in the league.
The fix-it has been, we've been looking for that for 3 years. We were looking at it at Minnesota in that key game after the bye, and he just rolled over and gave the Vikings a win. Easy win. Leaving Justin Jefferson on 4th and 7, wide open. Who does that? And then saying it comes down to fundamental. Fuck that. I'm sorry. It comes down to fundamentals. How about the fundamental thinking of, there's Justin Jefferson. Let's put a guy on him. Like maybe even our best guy. Which was also mystifying to me last year too, because Garrett Williams had our highest coverage grade, but against the best receivers, they don't even put him on him. But now we're learning this year sort of why, because Garrett Williams is great at zones, but he's not so great yet at man. I think he could become great.
Another player who's regressed.
We need a better coach in there to teach this kid how to get there, and it's not happening here. So, yeah, and then on offense, we still don't run a 2-minute drill in 3 years. It's a laugh. You should have seen the Rams 2-minute drill when we went 3 and out under 2 minutes left yesterday. And they already had a commanding lead, I think a 2-touchdown lead, right? So it was 24-10. We had the ball trying to get it, get it to within 7. We had the opportunity, and we know we're kicking it back to them. So it was huge pressure for us to move the ball down. Unfortunately, I had a 3 and out on really conservative, like a handoff on 1st down. It just was not a well-called, well-executed 3 plays. We punt it back. Stafford, is he throwing the little dump passes for 5? No. He's throwing downfield. And that's when, right at the end of the half, he zings it into Parkinson. And now it's 31-10 with, 21 seconds left. And so I mean, but that's the way you want to push the ball downfield, and make not take off these huge chunks of time. And he ran it to perfection. Now he's been around for a long time, but also he coached so well with McVay that they can do it that well when called upon. Here, our 2-minute drill has been awful. We saw it at the end of the game last week in a 4 and out with like a run and 3 like 4-yard passes. You know, and we allowed the defense to just come up and play us and dog us and didn't threaten them at all. And, so when you say be patient, we'll fix it, this has been 3 years of the same problems. So how can you be confident that that's going to get fixed? So I can't imagine, I don't think you can either, at this point, knowing that if Gannon does come back, he's going to be a potential lame duck. I can't imagine them hiring new coaches with experience to want to come into.
Not happening.
No,
not
in these circumstances. I mean,
not with anybody with a coaching future. Nobody.
Correct.
They want to bring in a bunch of neophytes who are going to make a little more money and learn on the job. This is the place to go.
Yeah,
it'll just be a continuation of this disaster.
Right.
The guy's 2-14 without Kyler Murray. It isn't a quarterback issue. It's an offensive coordinator issue. It's a player development issue.
And most of all, in my opinion, it's a defensive issue.
Oh, because your defense gave up 45, 41, and 44 to our division rivals in the last 3 division games. All 3 games were decided in the first or second quarter. If they hadn't been, they probably would have, those 40 burgers would have been 50 burgers.
Yeah, true.
The Rams took fourth quarter off yesterday. We still could only get 1 touchdown. If they would have kept everybody in, Corrum, let me tell you, the Rams players love playing, and most players love playing the Cardinals because they pad their stats, and if they've got contracts coming up, they want to play the Cardinals. The only way we get rid of this staff is if the players say to the owner, you got to get rid of this staff. We're not playing for them next year. We don't want to play for them next year, or I want out. The players are going to have to mutiny here, and they're going to have to convince Bidwell that he can't just get rid of a few kids here. This coaching staff has lost this iteration of another rebuild, and that's how we're going to get a new staff. If it's up to the fans, if it's up to Bidwell, not going to happen. But if the players, Calais Campbell walks into the owner's office and says, you got a bad staff here, buddy. You need to make some changes, major changes. Then maybe we'll get a new staff. I don't know. But the players are the ones going to get this done for us. We're not going to get it done.
Well, that's the last question I'll ask you and Kyle. I mean, didn't we see a statement from the players yesterday? I mean, they basically on defense didn't do anything. Except early on, they did hold a red zone situation to a field goal. But after that, they were run through repeatedly. The worst tackling team in the NFL is now even worse. Their grade's going to plummet because there were so many missed tackles. Trish and I were going through one play where we saw 4. And
these kids are tired of being out of position to make a tackle too. They're being made to look silly. They're made to look. The scheme is killing these kids, and we saw that yesterday. They're out of position to make tackles. The gaps are not maintained. There's no accountability either on top of it.
Well, our only 3 tacklers on the team are the safeties.
Oh, you got
and Sweat.
Yeah.
I did the tackling figures for everybody. They're pitiful. I mean, our whole front line, like, it's like getting graded in the 20s and 30s in tackling. I mean, and they're paying these guys. Tomlinson.
Oh, Tomlinson's a disaster.
I mean, Tomlinson, Calais.
Disaster.
Calais has got a 20-something tackling grade.
Yeah.
But again, they brought in older guys to make up for the fact that the draft and develop pieces didn't turn into the impact players. So even the reality of them signing Bilal Nichols, Dalvin Tomlinson, Justin Jones, Calais Campbell, Josh Sweat, all of these additions were to make, and Akeem Davis-Gaither's been very good, but you could throw Mac Wilson in there too. Those signings were to make up for the fact that the draft and develop guys didn't turn into the impact players like they did on offense.
Yep. So
the scheme is broken. You got a 29-year-old kid, 30-year-old kid calling you defensive plays. He can disguise a play, but he disguises it so well, even his own players don't know what's going on. I mean, it's just this is coaching, top to bottom coaching, both sides, all 3 phases of the ball.
And I think yesterday was a statement by the defensive players. We're done. Sticking a fork in us. It was really bad.
Were you that surprised we got run out of our own house yesterday?
No.
The Rams are coming off a terrible loss against Carolina. You knew they were going to take. I mean, if there was any confidence ruined against the Panthers, they sure got it back in spades yesterday.
Yeah. And then look at what the Panthers are doing since week 2, and look at what the Cardinals are doing since week 2. Another 2 organizations going, opposite directions.
You got an aggressive owner with a lot of money to spend who loves football, bought a football team because he loves football. He wasn't given a football team because his dad left it to him. Here's a guy who's spending money, being aggressive, making lots of changes, not only with his coaches. I mean, he let Rule go and paid him a whole bunch of money to cut him loose when he didn't work out, and brought in more coaches, more front office personnel, experienced staff. And he's doing what it takes to win in the NFL. And he's got the money and the instinct and the aggressiveness to do it. We don't have that here.
Yeah.
We don't have that here. The biggest card news of the week was not another division blowout, but it was the fact that we all know now Kyler Murray is no longer, unofficially, he's no longer an Arizona Cardinal. It's the end of a story that had already been written, and it's been mutual. It's like so many doomed relationships between 2 spoiled brats who've been given everything and have earned nothing. The Michael Bidwell and Kyler Murray relationship has finally come to its expected end. When they drafted this kid, #1 pick, both in the NFL and Major League Baseball, Heisman Trophy winner, the #1 player in Texas high school history, a kid who took his college team to the playoffs, I said to myself, the only place this kid can't be successful is where he landed. And this is exactly what we have. And it culminates with the coaching staff that's 2-14 without him.
Right.
Failure
and what are they with him, too? What are they with him?
Failure top to bottom.
I mean, they were 3-5, 8-9, so that's 11 and 14, and then 2-3, so 13 and 17. Or
At least 13 and 17, you have a shot at keeping your job. At whatever they are now, there shouldn't be much of a chance. Because, I mean, to answer the question you were about to throw at us, I'll just go through the teams that have 3 or fewer wins on the season at this point. Just like no one deserves to keep their job of this group, basically. You've got Giants, they've already fired a coach so far this year. Las Vegas, first-year coach. Tennessee, they've already fired a coach. Cleveland, they've got a 2-time coach of the year who deserves to be fired, and the general manager deserves to be fired based on the last few years in Cleveland. Yeah. First-year head coach, second-year head coach, first-year head coach, third-year head coach with Arizona. So unless you're a first or second-year coach and you've got fewer than 3 wins of this group. By the way, you can keep going. Atlanta, they might fire a coach. Cincinnati at 4-9, they might fire Zach Taylor, even though Zach Taylor's been to a Super Bowl. So that's the name of the game.
Zach Taylor, give me that guy.
Yeah, I mean, Zach Taylor might be gone in Cincinnati. So
I'll take that list. Take that list out of all those opportunities and rank the Cardinals.
Let me think.
In terms of you're a coach, and you got a bright future, and every single one of these teams has contacted you and interviewed you for the job. Where are you going to place the Cardinals in that?
I mean, I would say they should be ahead of the Giants, but I guess if you really believe in Jackson Dart, then you might take the Giants job over theirs.
Giants have one of the best ownership groups in the history of the NFL.
Yeah, but that's
not recently.
They're very meddling. A meddling ownership group.
You know what the Giants have? The number 1 pick now.
Right.
So,
yeah,
that would be enough. That's why I think a guy who would be very much in play for the Giants is Cliff Kingsbury.
Oh, 100%.
He's got rookie of the year quarterbacks 2 out of 2.
100%.
You give him Mendoza, or if he wants Dante Moore at the top of that draft, you have Dart as a backup. You also have a great guy to develop in Dart. I mean, you get an offensive guy like Cliff in charge, and Cliff has a good idea of who to run the defense, and they've got some players on that side of the ball. I mean, and if that holds out, which looks like it may, you got a scenario again there, and I think there are enough candidates here to not be totally bummed out, pessimistic. I think there are enough really good candidates that are going to be more than the jobs that are available, and that works to the Cardinals' advantage. So, for guys who maybe get passed over with other jobs. But a lot of these jobs, I mean, I'm not sure I would take the Raiders job over the Cardinals. I mean, that one's a mess.
It's a mess. You have Tom Brady in there now making a difference. And Davis is no longer the poorest owner in the NFL. Mike Bidwell is. They're making a lot of money. They're making a lot of money in Vegas. So he has money to spend, and he'll spend money, and he's stepping back, and he's got some people there that they're going to make. But I don't know how good that job is, but I know the job here is not a good job.
No, but here's the way to make it a good job is to get a GM who's going to be given the autonomy. You've been saying this, and you're right. Get a director of football operations to take this thing over. That's our only hope. And
what comes with that?
Planting the seeds for that.
Right.
I've been trying to water those seeds. Kyle's been throwing sunlight on it. We just have to hope and pray that the reality kicks in that this is something I have to do.
You're a GM with some talent in the future. So you look at this franchise historically, And then you look at the dead cap this team is going to be saddled with next 2 years.
It's not that bad.
And you don't have a quarterback. Well, you have Jacoby short term, and I'd be fine with that.
Right.
I don't see a lot of jam. I don't see a lot of jams.
The other thing that's confusing though is if you bring in a new OC, does Jacoby's value go down because Jacoby's playing in the system right now that works to Jacoby's strengths?
Yeah, but the system, Jacoby's carrying the system.
That's right. That's exactly right.
He needs more help.
That's exactly 100% right. And you're not going to get an OC. You're not going to get an OC with a future who's going to come in and work for a lame duck head coach and lame duck GM. And our director of football operations, we have to remember, is saddled with the biggest problem this franchise has. It has no money. It doesn't have the money to compete. You have the poorest owner in the league, whose entire net worth is tied to the franchise value, and he makes the least amount of money of any franchise. And then you look at the dead cap, you look at the quarterback, you look at the meddling owner. This is the worst job in the NFL. It is.
Browns and them. It's the Browns and them.
The Browns will spend money. The Browns got a meddling idiot owner. There's no question. But the Browns will spend money.
Yeah. So.
And they have money to spend. Let's put it that way.
I'm still going to light a candle.
Well, that's what we all have.
I can't just drain myself of all hope.
Get an eternal candle, Walt.
I have it.
Because it's going to need to be eternal with this guy making the decision.
I have it.
Yeah.
But I not want to give up on hope.
But you can't. Not as a Cardinal fan.
And every year I've been searching my mind through a labyrinth of how can the Cardinals finally get it done. And I'm going to wrestle with that. I mean, I'm so tempted. I absolutely love what's going on 5 minutes down the road from me at Gillette Stadium.
Oh, yeah.
With this, lovable head coach who I was lobbying for the Cardinals for the last few years.
He's not going to come to work for the Cardinals.
I get that. And he was waiting for a moment like that, and he carpe diem'd this whole thing up, which is great for him. And for the Patriots. And I love their quarterback. Get me one of each. I mean, Houston was the worst franchise ever, and they climbed out of it. And now they're probably going to kick our butts on Friday and remind us why we didn't own them in the 2023 draft. I think the karma of that will be on full display. So
yeah,
but we're out of time. We've gone the full 2 hours. We want to thank all of you for coming and joining us again today. Leave your thoughts, in the comment section. I will answer any questions you have. Leave thoughts on the blog. I'll post it at Red Rain blog for AZ Cardinal fans, blogspot.com. We appreciate your support, and we're in this together. And I just want to say, as a parting sort of notion, is maybe it's about time 2 things happen for Cardinal fans. Maybe it's about time we galvanized and put aside our differences for the sake of trying to get this thing over the top. Because we've been a nation divided, as a Cardinals bird gang nation divided for so long now. Maybe it's time for us to come, join and get, steely strong together in our resolve of trying to, make a push to get things right in Arizona, which I think we could do And at the same time, maybe we ought to sort of, pump the brakes on, you know, canonizing players as like generational talents before they've ever, really proven a thing. And not put these players on pedestals because there's only one way down, and it's really lonely up there. I think we got to take a more well-informed and more panoramic view of what options there are. I mean, people are saying right now, "Oh, we got to bring Kyler back. There are no other options." It's the same thing we were saying 4 years ago, 3 years ago, with the contract. There was no other option. You had to sign him now. When there are always other options. I mean, this whole no other option stuff is fiction. It's myth. I mean, you look at who we're going to play next, the Houston Texans. They looked out of options forever. Now they got a guy in there, a former Patriot guy, Nick Caserio, who made some moves, who got their quarterback, who at the same time made a trade to draft the best defensive player in that draft, who is kicking ass right now, and help leading a defense that just beat Mahomes and the Chiefs on Sunday Night Football. I mean, they got it all moving in a totally different direction with the same setup, the same rock bottom as the Cardinals were. So that should be hope for any franchise with any owner, is that somehow a leadership team can get in there that works. And, hopefully, I'm not going to quit. Looking for solutions. I'm still in the labyrinth. I'm going to look at it. I know Sam is too. And I know that Kyle always is. In fact, his labyrinth is enormous. I mean, he's got so many teams on his mind you wouldn't believe. So, but on the behalf of the three of us, we want to wish you a good week. And, with Christmas coming up and the holidays and Hanukkah, we wish you well with your families. And in the interim, may the red rain shower down on you into a red, red sea. Red rain.